Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody that's tuned in. American Ultra Stock, here we are again, Braden and I, bringing to you guys a video that we think is very exciting. It's a transfer window update. Thank you so much for everybody that's been subscribing. Again, can't stress it enough how happy and grateful we are to have you guys right here. Make sure to drop a like, comment, share with your friends. Here we go. Here we go, just like the guy that does bring all of the news and broke all the news, Fabrizio Romano, the legend. Let's start with the main one, the big one, Gio Reyna, Braden. We made a video specifically about him. Free Gio, it happened. What's your take on it? Do you think that Forest is the good move? A lot of people are iffy about this one.
Yeah, I'll start with the positives. The fact that he signed an extension until 2026, a lot of people think it's a bad thing. I disagree. I think it shows that the club is committed to him, and I think that was probably a requirement for him to go actually out on loan, because they didn't want to lose him for cheap because he was only under contract until the end of next season, I believe. The other positive, it's only a 6-month loan, no option to buy. So if things do go south, which there's a pretty decent chance that they will, then it's fine, because he can just go back to Dortmund, find a move in the summer, or who knows, maybe Terzic will be gone, they'll have a better manager. We see how highly all the BVB fans rate him, and rightly so, and maybe he could be given a chance under a new coach, a new system, and we know how much he loves it in Dortmund, so I think it'd honestly be a real shame if he did end up leaving permanently, but it is necessary at some point. A concern I do have is the Premier League. I don't know if he's exactly cut out for it. I know his father was a legend for Man City, but I'm not sure if he has the physical qualities for it. He gets injured a lot, and the Prem is one of the most physical leagues in the world, so I'm a little concerned there. But he's not going to be there for too long. If he plays well, great. If he doesn't, it's fine. He can get a better fit and a better move in the summer.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll be honest, when I just saw this, I thought it was a bad move. But thinking on it, based on some of the things you said, even if he doesn't cut it there, I think it's a great reality check if he doesn't. Similar to what happened with Wes. Look what happened. He really revived his career. I think that it will take something astronomical for Gio to match all of the hype that we had for him early on. And I think that perhaps a reality check, if it doesn't work well, is what's needed. And let's see if he can surprise us. I'm happy that he sought out a move. They wanted him to play. He wasn't content just being on the bench. So we'll see. But moving on to another A-teamer. By the way, guys, should have said it earlier, but we'll be breaking down, coming from the main guys to some fringe players, some MLS exports, and the youngsters. There were a lot of youngsters that moved. But yeah, the next one is Johnny Cardoso, another really big move, really coming into the public eye for a lot of fans. A lot of people didn't really watch Johnny previously. Now they'll have a great chance. They have been getting that chance. And great news today, actually, was confirmed he's actually registered for a European competition. So that's really nice. What do you think, Braden? How good is this move for Johnny?
And just quickly, before we get too far into the video, also, if you guys want our opinions on any of the other transfers, there's been a lot of them are players who are very, very fringe or maybe not too known. But if you guys do want our opinions on any of the other transfers, there's a lot of them. So just feel free to comment. We'd be glad to answer your questions and reply to you guys. We love doing that. So definitely leave a comment if you have any more ideas on our takes. But getting into Johnny, I think this might be the transfer of the window. Not only for the USONT, but I think it's a huge bargain for Betis. Only joining for just over $6 million. I think it's going to be a bargain when it's all said and done. A very young player still. We forget that because he's with the A team and he's had a lot of first team experience in one of the toughest leagues to break into, I would say, especially because of the fans down in Brazil. And his start to Betis has been great. He's thrown into the fire, debut against Barcelona, and he looked definitely not out of place. I think he was a little shy, maybe there's a little hesitancy. But he played very well, and then he's been continuing his form ever since. He was registered, like you said, for Europe, and they actually didn't register one of their other DMs. It just shows the confidence they already have in him after only, I believe, 2 games with the club, which is massive. And I think he's going to be crucial for them. He's already got the number 4. It's a big number for a new signing to have, and I think he's going to continue to kill La Liga.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm happy that he made the jump, really. And at a time I really didn't think that it was going to happen, because I would still have preferred for him to stay one more year. This was really his breakthrough year for Inter, and Cade really changed. Oh, that's the power of a manager. Really changed and helped him thrive. But you know what? You get an offer from a club as big as Betis, you go. So props to Johnny for that. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really happy that he got the move. I think it's a great opportunity to develop, and the fans seem to love him. He's going to find it a lot easier with anywhere he goes, because Brazilian fans are extremely, extremely critical. But I'm really happy about him. Going on to another A-teamer that made a move just south of the border, Brendan Vázquez. And I'm putting right here him as an A-teamer because although, thanks to one of the subs, it made me remind that he never played with the A-team. He is in contention if something happens there. He's a good forward, let's face it. Maybe the best header that in the game, really. He's such a good header. He moved to Monterrey, a lot of hype on that move. He had a very underwhelming season, in my opinion, with Cincinnati, but now that he made the move and has been making strides there, what do you think, Braden? Does it really change his perspectives for the future?
It was a great point brought up in the comments that he's actually never had a chance with the A team, only with the B or C team at Gold Cups, or I think a couple of Camp Cupcakes as well. And like you said, amazing header. His first goal in particular against Atlético San Luis, when he got his first brace in the league already so soon, absolutely world-class header. It's on par with Haji Wright's goal against the Netherlands. It's just like outrageous finishes. But yeah, I don't think he's A-team level just yet, considering we do have Balogun and Pepe who are playing at maybe not a high level, but they're playing against high-level competition. There's been a little bit of struggles for both of them this season, but also a lot of positives as well. The fact that we have Sargent in the championship as well, banging goals. Haji Wright, of course, has been playing as a winger, but he's still probably our most informed player this season, just in general. And he can play striker. He played striker for us at the World Cup. So there's a lot of competition at that spot. When you compare it to before we got Balogun, that was the spot that we wanted the most, and now it's probably the place where we have the most depth. So it's kind of crazy how that can work out in just a span of a year. I'm hoping that some of our other positions can get filled like that. But I think Vázquez had a great start. I was very critical with the move and the MLS going to Liga MX in general. I do still think that's a bad idea, especially for the growth of the league. We're supposed to be competing with them, selling some of the best players from the best teams like Vázquez to Liga MX, the top teams there. Probably not a good idea for the development of the league, but he's killing it in Monterrey, and the fans love him. He loves being there, and I think he's going to continue to have a great season for them.
And he just needed a change of air. I think that when his move to Europe stalled, he just needed a change of air. Happy for him. Talking about another MLS player, he is a teamer, especially in a position that we're really short. Miles Robinson, perhaps the most controversial move of the window, because there was a lot of rumor about him going to PSV. And I think one of the things that didn't really help the move is how open he was about why he chose to stay in the league. We all knew it, but him saying it does add a little bit of salt to the wound. What do you think, Braden? Ultimately, was it a good move? Was it not? Expand on it.
I do actually respect the fact that he came out and just said it as it is. He wanted that guaranteed paycheck. I mean, you never know what can happen. A couple injuries and your career could be over, as good as over. So I respect that he wants the money for security for his family. But the fact that he still considers himself in the USMNT picture after that is where I took offense and where I took issue to his statement. Because for a player who has the level or has shown the level to go to Europe and just basically takes the easy way out and signs with the best regular season team from last season, MLS, not even staying in Atlanta and building a legacy for himself. He decided it was time to move on, but stay in the league, go to Cincinnati, try to win trophies with one of the best teams in the league. And I don't know, I don't respect it. I like the Liga MX moves better, even though it does weaken the league. I think it shows more ambition because at least you're trying to put yourself out there in a new league with a lot harsher fans, it must be said, especially for players like who we're going to mention pretty soon, Cade Cowell, an American playing for an all-Mexican team. I respect that a lot more than just staying in the league and just signing for one of the best teams.
Yeah, because those guys left the comfort zone. I think that Miles got even more comfortable. I really think that maybe staying at Atlanta would have been more respectful, like you said. But anyways, we are really short there. Another position that we're not short, but I think that it's up for grabs for the 26th cycle. This guy goes under the radar so much, Ethan Horvath. I think that he's possibly one of the least talked about players. Granted, he hasn't really been playing, really. I think the last full game that he had was in June, which is a long, long time ago, June last year. Now, he made the move, Cardiff City. He kind of completed the championship. How do you see this one, Braden? Does it help him in terms of becoming a starter?
It definitely helps him because now him and Turner have kind of had the roles reversed, albeit he's not playing in the Premier League. He's playing at a lower level in the Championship, which, like you said, do think he has completed, being part of 2 promoted teams in the past couple of years, although he didn't really do that much at Nottingham Forest, just came on for a couple of minutes at the final because Samba got injured. I think a lot of our fans hyped that up a little bit more than they should, but he was an integral part of the Luton team that beat all the odds and got promoted last year. I think Forest did him a bit dirty by not even registering him and definitely not selling him. After they bought 2 keepers, they knew they weren't going to have any use for him. Not letting him at least go on loan, I think, was a bit shady from them. But he is gone on a permanent deal now, and he's going to be playing at a decent level. It's a bit of a fall-off from the last couple of teams he's played for, but at the end of the day, they did just get rid of their keeper, Alex Gunnarsson, the Icelandic national, who was on loan from Arsenal. They terminated the loan. His contract at Arsenal got terminated as well. He's off to Denmark, and it's a spot for Horvath to just slip into and make his own. And who knows, if he's getting minutes, Turner probably won't be. He could see himself in contention for the number 1 spot.
Yeah, I really hope that things work out for him. And we talked about these players. We're going to talk now. These are sort of the A-teamers now. Obviously, some of them are fringe, but we mentioned him briefly. You said it, and I think it's a move that a lot of us can respect, especially for the hype that he got. Cade Cowell making the move to, as you said, I'll let you take this one, Braden. What do you think? A move to an all-Mexican team. Huge move. He gets hyped up in social media like he's Messi. What do you think? What do you take from it?
I think, like I said in the past, I don't think I said this yet. He should audition for the Mexican version of Barbie because he looks exactly like Ken. He's got the bleached hair, and he's a celebrity there now. They're treating him, like you said, like he's some huge signing, which I suppose he is. I mean, he's making history. I think the first player for Chivas, maybe ever, or at least in quite some time, to not play for Mexico or to represent a different country on a national stage. I know they're a little looser on their restrictions now, but the fact that we have an American international, whether he deserved the caps or not, playing for Mexico or playing in a team that's traditionally all Mexican is huge. And honestly, I really don't like Cade Cowell. I think all viewers of the channel will know this. I don't think he's a good player at all. He's just athletic, but I will be watching him at Chivas, and I have been watching him with great interest because I think it's a super interesting concept what he's doing. And like I said, I hugely respect the move because honestly, if he had gone to Europe, he would have got exposed. I do like the players who go there, try, like Cole Bassett, for example, one of my favorites in MLS. He tried it in the Netherlands. It didn't work out. He came back to MLS. Now he's playing well. I respect people who try that, like some of the other players we're going to mention in a little bit as well in this window. But I also respect more for Cowell in particular to go to Mexico and try to embrace his heritage a little bit more and try and challenge himself in a different league.
Yeah, he said he's on Duolingo already, so let's see how that Spanish comes through. But you mentioned players that try, but it doesn't really work. We have to talk about all 3 of them. The Rapids. Props to the Rapids. First of all, I think they're the worst team in MLS last year. For quite some time, they've been the most shocking team. But they signed Zack Steffen, Djordje Mihailovic, which I'm very puzzled with, and Sam Vines. So they're trying to make a Camp Cupcake Rapids there. I don't know what it is, but props to them. What do you think? Obviously, we're going to give a singular focus on all of them, but ultimately, how do you view this for Steffen, for Mihailovic, for Vines, and for the Rapids? Why not?
I think for all the players, it's a huge step for their careers. I think it's going to bring them a lot more confidence and game time, which they weren't getting previously for all different reasons for players. And I think the most important thing is this is absolutely massive for our Gold Cup squad. Having these 3 players who should be there playing together, it's going to build the chemistry a lot. And the Gold Cup's a tournament we don't really take seriously. We bring an MLS Lifers team every year and a couple of youngsters as well. But realistically, it's the B or C team that we bring. And having players that can play together could help us contend for the trophy if it matters or not. But like you said, as for the Rapids, I really, really like the ambition they're showing, not being content with being last in the league. And Stan Kroenke actually showing that he does somewhat care about the team, which I didn't know if he did. I mean, he sold their best player, Austin Trusty, to Arsenal to money launder a couple years ago. But the fact that he's bringing in these statement signings, and I think they're going to be a really fun team to watch. And especially for our only striker from the U20 World Cup, Darren Yapi, I think he's going to be one to watch this season because having the service of Djordje Mihailovic, who is one of the best players in the MLS with the Chicago Fire and Montreal Impact, or CF Montreal now, before he did go to AZ Alkmaar, and obviously Cole Bassett, like I mentioned before, some of the other players as well that they brought in. I think it's going to be huge for him and his season. And honestly, I can't wait to watch the Rapids this year.
Same. I'm really that you said that it makes a lot of sense. If there's a time for Yappy to come through and have a breakthrough, it's this year. I mean, there's going to be no excuse. But now moving on to the exports from the MLS. I'm really happy that we got some exports out there. There was a whole novella, as people want to say, for Duncan McGuire. The guy gets on the plane. As he's on the plane, on the flight, the deal falls through, and now all of a sudden he has to pray that Sheffield comes through and tries to put in a bid for him. But it all worked out. He's a Blackburn. How do you see this move, Braden?
I think it's kind of crazy that probably the transfer saga of the whole window was over some random college kid from Omaha, Nebraska. It just kind of shows how crazy the transfer window can be sometimes. Like you said, he was on a plane to England and the Blackburn move supposedly fell through. He was sitting in a hotel in Sheffield waiting for Sheffield Wednesday to figure things out. Some of the other foreign teams like Midtjylland and Denmark couldn't get it done in time, which I think would have been a shame because I think he would have torn up that league. But Blackburn immediately, they come back in, they clutch it up, they get him in on an initial loan deal, which Orlando didn't really want. But they did raise the buy fee by a lot. It was initially going to be a something like $2 million transfer permanently. Now the buy fee is $7 million. Who knows if they'll actually buy that? But if he impresses, and I think he will, maybe it won't be at Blackburn, but he'll be in the championship somewhere next season, regardless of whether they do pick up the purchase option or not. And I think it's huge as well that he didn't go to Sheffield Wednesday because I think a lot of people are critical about the move. They are in the relegation zone. They could be playing in League One next season, and I think that's a worse level than MLS, especially for a player like McGuire who has so little experience in the professional level. I think the championship, having a secure spot with Blackburn, maybe even trying to push up the table. I think they're only 7 spots out from promotion playoffs, so you never say never. I mean, we saw Djordje, what he did with Barnsley, getting them up there, and now they're back in League One. So honestly, you never know what's going to happen. I think McGuire fits the championship perfectly. His profile, kind of similar to DK, except he doesn't get hurt every 5 minutes. So I think it's going to be really interesting as well to see the competition, like I said, with Djordje, with Josh Sargent, with Hashi, right? How those 4 players stack up against each other the second half of the season.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this move. We got a college kid in the championship. I mean, this is amazing. Last year, the guy, he played in USL too. Less than 4 years ago. That's insane, really. And now he's playing in the championship. Great move for him. Great timing as well. If I was McGuire, I'll take the move. I don't know what to expect, but I hope you're right. I hope that he doesn't impress. I'm really rooting for him. He's Olympic eligible. That's a position that's going to be up for grabs for that roster. So we need our players to be stepping up. And step up he did. Gioacchini moving to Como, to one of my favorite leagues, Serie B. He's there. They're in contention. I think they will make the playoffs. And you never know. They might find themselves up. Serie B is pretty crazy. But Gioacchini making the move, what do you think about that one? A player that really did challenge himself.
We're in an ideal situation now. I think in Serie B, we've got Venezia with Tessman and Busiao up in 3rd. The first playoff spot just outside of automatic promotion. Gioacchini and Como now in 4th. And then in 5th, Christopher Lund and Palermo. So I think the playoffs are going to be very fun to watch, assuming all those 3 teams stay in it. And I think there's definitely a chance that one of the top 2 could even go up and get automatically promoted. I mean, it's still a long season. They're all in the race. I know you would like that as a Venezia fan for Tessman and Busiao. But yeah, props to Gioacchini. He's one of the rare players, American players, who actually started out in Europe. He was playing his trade in France with Montpellier in particular, and I think Caen as well in Ligue 1 and Ligue 2. He came to MLS for Orlando City for a little bit, signed for St. Louis in their first inaugural season, scored I think 10 or 11 goals in MLS, led them to the 1st seed in the West in their first season, which is very impressive despite a down year for the conference. As a newly added expansion team, it's very impressive to do that, and he was a key part, and I'm happy that he's got rewarded with a move back to Europe. And who knows, he could potentially be joining Pulisic, Musa, McKennie, Weah in Serie A next season.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to watch, but I hope that you're wrong and not all 3 of them are there. I hope they're right in the sense that one of them gets up, and that's Veneto, but props to him. Props to Gioacchini, honestly. What a season he had. Really happy that he made the jump and didn't really stay, because he could have become a cult hero at St. Louis, but ideally these guys should challenge themselves, and I'm really happy with that. I can respect this one a lot. Now, we have to talk about the players that are the youngsters. We made a little short list of players that are in the fringe. They're all Olympic eligible, all of these guys. And I'm going to start with the one that has the biggest name, the one that, in my opinion, got us to the Olympics. Paxten Aaronson got a very much needed loan, in my opinion, to Vitesse. They are last place in Eredivisie, but it's a very expensive league in terms of play style, and I think that he can thrive in that. What do you think, Braden? I know that he's not Brandinho, but what do you think that Paxten is going to do? Is he going to line up the Netherlands?
Yeah, I love him almost as much as Brendan, and I think it's the perfect move. The fact, kind of like Gio's transfer, that it is just for the end of the season. No buy option. We know how much Frankfurt rate him, which is good. They see him as a crucial part of their future, which I think is nice, especially since he kind of threw himself into the fire by going there. He hadn't even broken into the Union's first team yet, and now he's all of a sudden playing for a Bundesliga team who's contending for Europe and who just won the Europa League. And I think this move is going to be huge for him. Vitesse are one of the most struggling teams in the league, bottom of the Eredivisie. Their attack is absolutely woeful, and he should have a crucial role already for them this season to try to help them stay up. I don't know if they will survive the drop, but I think Paxton's going to thrive presumably at the 10 position, maybe out on either wing. I don't think it really matters. He's going to be the focal point of the attack that has struggled for so long, and I think he's going to, at the very least, help them score some more goals, shine a little bit, and boost his stock heading into the Olympics, because we have seen him not released for competitions. He wasn't at the second Olympic camp that we did. Obviously, he wasn't at the U20 World Cup in the summer as well. But now that Frankfurt are finally valuing his game time, I think this is a crucial thing for him, because realistically, he should be one of the stars of the Olympic team in the summer. But if he wasn't getting game time, it's kind of up in the air a little bit, because our midfield is pretty stacked for that group. So I think it's going to be a huge move for him, and it's just going to be beneficial towards his career.
Yeah, and I think we saw last season, you don't need to really keep your team up to get a big move if you do well. Pepe got relegated, and now he's at PSV. So regardless if it is for his future at Frankfurt next season or another loan, possibly in the Eredivisie, or just get some eyes on you and get another move to get playing time, I think it's crucial. And I agree with you. I think that Paxten does need to start in the Olympics. I would have him starting, even though we're stacked there, but I'll pick him there because I think he's that talented, and there's not much pressure. Their attack is woeful, so what is there to expect? So I hope that he does play really loose and get more experience in the professional level. A lot of people sleep really on how young Paxten is and how little experience he had in the pro level. But moving on to some other players, we got Nathaniel Brown. You shine the light on him, how impressive he's been. He's not fully committed to the US, but I don't think he even ever played for us in the youth levels. I think the latest one was with Germany, but take this one away, Braden.
Yeah, he is still 20 years old, and he's a current member of the Germany U21 squad. And with his incoming move to Frankfurt, which we're talking about now, for the summer, him and Paxten could be back together, or together for the first time and lighting up the league next season. That's the ideal scenario. But I think it's a great move. He's going to be challenging himself next season, but the loan back to Nuremberg for the rest of the season is smart. Hopefully he can get them at least in the playoffs, if not promoted up to the Bundesliga, continue to show his quality in that league. I think he's one we need to keep an eye on. As we mentioned in the top 10 fullbacks video, I think he's a very talented player, and if we do convince him to switch nationalities from Germany to us, he's already in contention for the backup left back spot to Jedi Robinson, and who knows what could happen. There's a lot of players who weren't in consideration and can have had meteoric rises and up into the first team, and I think Brown is as good of a candidate as any to be one of those players.
Yeah, and he's really tall. You never know. We're so short at the back, so you never know who might pop in there. But now moving on to a player that these are lesser known players. I'm just going to mention him briefly because we did talk about the Eredivisie, how good it is. He made the drop down, Agustín Anello. He was called up to the first Olympic camp. He's Olympic eligible. He was having an all right season up until he didn't get released for the Olympic camp again. And I don't know what happened. Didn't he fight someone? I don't know what happened really, because the guy now got a loan to the Eredivisie, the second division in Netherlands. How do you see this one? Do you think that he realistically ups his stock in terms of a call-up for the Olympic cycle, man?
It is a shame. Like you said, he was playing pretty decently, getting some regular minutes off the bench, even some starts for Sparta Rotterdam, until he didn't get released for that camp, which I don't know why they didn't release him, since apparently he wasn't in their plans anymore because he stopped playing. He did get released for the second Olympic camp, but by that time the damage was done. He looked meh at best, I think, in that camp, because he was out of game time, very rusty because they weren't playing him. I knew this move was going to happen. They needed to loan him out. He's still a very young player, obviously Olympic eligible, a pretty solid winger, and he's already been thrown into the fire at Cambuur in the Eredivisie, which I think is a good thing. He's going to get consistent minutes playing in a league that I really like for development, and maybe even pushing towards a promotion spot for them. I think they're around mid-table, maybe slightly higher than that. And he already drew a penalty in his second game very early on to help them get a draw against the league leaders. So I think he's going to be very, very good in that league, and hopefully it can convince Sparta Rotterdam that he is good enough for a permanent spot next season.
Yeah, let's hope so, because this guy could have gone to Venezia. I'm just kidding. We needed a winger, so it would have been nice. But anyways, now two players. These are really French players. These are dual nationals. We mentioned already one with Germany. These ones we share with Mexico. I think that dual nationals with Mexico carry a little bit more weight, not only because, well, let's just state the fact they could enforce our biggest rivals. So it's not just how much they can add on the pitch, how much they can prevent off of it. But we have to talk about, in my opinion, the most promising one of them, Fidel Barajas. Moving on to a club, he's going to link up with Diego Luna again. Barajas is very promising. I don't know if he's going to play for us or not. How do you see this move, Braden? And do you think he's going to get regular playing time? Not regular, but good minutes this season.
I think it's going to be a similar situation to Luna, where the first half of the season he kind of struggles to break into the team, and he's kind of feeling out the first team. It is his first season in MLS with RSL. He's still such a young player. He's at the U17 World Cup with Mexico, probably their highest rated prospect, especially at that tournament. And yeah, I think it'll be like Luna. The second half of the season, he'll come into form, and I'm really liking what RSL are doing, not only with their academy, but also poaching some of the top youngsters from USL. He's taking the exact path that Diego Luna did. Hopefully Luna can convince him to join the US and not vice versa, because the jury is still out for both of them, for their international futures. And yeah, I mean, they have such good academy kids as well. Axel K, Jude Wellings, Xavier Goso, who they've already all signed to first-team contracts, and the future is bright in Real Salt Lake. I really like what they're doing with their team. I think youth is going to have a huge impact on them because they've gotten rid of some of their more experienced players this window as well. So they should be thrust right into the starting job, at least some of them should, Luna in particular. Barajas, it'll take a little bit of time, but he's still such a young player. He tore up the championship, the USL championship last year with Charleston Battery, who actually went on to make the finals. Maybe he could have won it if he was there and not at the U17 World Cup, who knows? But yeah, I'm very excited about this one, and I think he's one of the top priorities, especially considering that he does have Mexican citizenship, and that is our biggest rival.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, really hope that he does break into like Luna. And I'm really happy that Salt Lake rewarded Luna with that opportunity. You mentioned one of my favorite players, one of the favorite prospects. I'll say this, and I think I'm the first one on YouTube saying Xavier Gozo is going to be world class, in my opinion. World class. Just going to say, I think that he's that good. But anyways, now there's another really huge prospect. This one's definitely more inclined towards Mexico. He got to move to Manchester City. The academy merchant, Alcalá. He made the move to Man City. He has some minutes there. I'll just say my opinion on Alcalá. Good player, really talented. A midget, let's face it, a midget. But I think that he will thrive in the academy forever. I don't think he has the physicality or the speed or knows how to play. Let's face it, he could have broken through at the Galaxy. If he didn't break through at Galaxy last season, he was never going to break through in the MLS. Now, he had the contract with Man City. He's there. Well, how do you see this one, Braden? This guy's pretty set on Mexico.
I think, like you said, I think there's two types of players who really excel at the youth level, whether it's for club or for country. I think there's the Cade Cowell route, where they're just more physical than everyone, pacey, just strong on the ball, and can't really get pushed off. Someone like that, you saw how good Cade Cowell was at the U20 World Cup in the summer, especially that goal against Fiji. And Alex Alcalá is the other very, very technical player. He's lacking, of course, in the height and the physicals, but he's very, very good on the ball. We've seen some of the highlight clips, and he's already gotten a good start to life with Man City's U18s. He scored against Derby County, who I believe are fourth in the the U18 Premier League, despite being a League One club. They have a very good academy system. They've produced a lot of youngsters that have gone to the first team recently. So I think he's going to do all right, and I think it does have to be considered that Man City produce a lot of youngsters in the past couple of years, and although a lot of them don't get the chance with the first team, they get sold and they thrive. Like Romeo Lavia, he was sold for like $5 million to Southampton. The next summer, he's a $50 million signing to Chelsea. Players like that can instantly step up and make an impact. And maybe he's going to be one of them, maybe he won't, but it's a good start to life. And if you're going to be at any academy system in the world, Man City's one of the top ones that I would choose for development.
Absolutely. I can't wait for Alcalá to get a loan to Girona in 3 years, make 2 appearances, and go back to Liga MX, play for Monterrey for the rest of his life with some on and off, and retire at Atlas. But anyways, now moving on to, I think we need to talk about this player. Really interesting player. Did really well with the Pan American Games. Rodrigo Neri moved from Atletico Madrid to Valencia. Do you think it's a good move, Braden? This guy goes under the radar a little bit, but he has been developing in really good academies. What do you think?
I think it's a puzzling move for me because you saw how highly Simeone rated him. He was training with the first team on a fairly consistent basis. Obviously, like you said, he was one of the standouts at the Pan American Games for the U.S. team. That, let's face it, it wasn't our top U23 team, but he was a very good player there. I think he's in strong contention for the future of our striker spot a couple years down the line. But this move doesn't really make sense to me, considering he was basically moving from Atletico de Madrid's third team to Valencia's third team. He is going to be turning 18, or I think, 18, I think, in a couple of days, or very soon, at least. Or sorry, he's going to be turning 19 very soon. So he will be aged out of the U19, so he will be playing for Valencia's second team sooner rather than later. But the only way I can see this move working out for him is if he is right, which I presume he's thinking there's an easier path to the first team for Valencia. They do have a lot of financial difficulties, like we mentioned in the summer with the Yunus Musa transfer saga that happened, and they do rely on the youth heavily because of that. So maybe there is a better chance for a rise to the first team in the near future at Valencia than there is at Atleti. But he was rated very highly in the Atleti system, so the jury's still out on this one, but I'm a little hesitant.
All right, next player that goes a lot under the radar. I don't know many people that know him. Klapija got a move as well, Braden. Take this one away. Do you think it's a great one, and how big do you think it can be?
This one was a weird one because RB Leipzig bought him for around 5 million from a second-tier team in Croatia, who's obviously Klapija is a USA-Croatia dual national. He spent time at NYCFC's academy before moving to Croatia on a professional level. He barely even broke into the first team there, and he's already been trusted with the number 11 for RB Leipzig's youth side. He's going to be playing in the UEFA Youth Cup, which is going to be beneficial for him, and obviously in the U19 Bundesliga as well. And he's a player, like you said, he goes under the radar, but I think he's a very key dual national. We have so many strikers now. Him and Neri are kind of in a similar mold that they're facing an uphill battle to get into the team in a couple of years because all of our main guys will be in their primes. But I think he's a special talent. Leipzig and the Red Bull system in general, it has to be said, have excellent talent identification. Salzburg, I think, is one of the best clubs in the world, bar none, for developing players in their academy system, and Leipzig has taken some of that as well. And if they're buying him for 5 million, they clearly see a lot of talent there. He's a very talented player. He's one of my favorite dual nationals. I really hope he ends up picking us because I think he'll end up being a big loss down the line.
Yeah, let's hope so. It never hurts to have depth. And I like that. Now we have good prospects at big clubs, big systems that we know for a fact they're going to have to fight their way in. That shows that we are raising our floor and our ceiling simultaneously. So I'm really happy about that. But this is the end of the video. Again, like Braden said earlier, there were a lot of transfers from players that really are unknown. If you would like us to comment or make a video about it, just please let us know in the comments. We'll definitely do that. I appreciate you guys watching this far. Please leave a like and subscribe. Share with your friends if you can. And yes, let's hope that all of these moves work out. In an ideal world, they all go set their leagues on fire. And hopefully we have better players for the future and have the main guys solidify themselves, turning it around. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.